2016 incarnation of Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios Hollywood is worth the price of admission, but not worth the wait. It's a must-see event, but if you must see everything, you need a fast pass, thanks to those long lines that last over 2 hours. Those without a fast pass are advised to take advantage of Universal's early admission policy. Gates open at 6 p.m., select mazes begin at 6:15 p.m. Forget about the upper park and head straight for the lower level where most of the mazes are located. Even this strategy will not get you into everything, but you will get a small head start on the majority of the crowds. If you wait till regular hours starting at 7 p.m., you're going to get to 3 or 4 attractions, if you're lucky. This is unfortunate because the mazes are as elaborate and entertaining as we have come to expect from Halloween Horror Nights. The standout this year is The Exorcist, based on the 1973 blockbuster horror film. The maze uses a clever strategy suggested by the flickering, subliminal images that flash in the film's dream sequence. There are startling contrasts between pitch black and sudden bursts of light, like little visual explosions. The layout is quite maze-like, at least in its psychological effect on visitors who cannot tell which direction they are going in the dark. Coupled with the fact that the exorcism room is depicted several times over, this creates the illusion that you have accidentally doubled back. But in fact, each version of the room depicts a subsequent stage in the exorcism featuring different effects. Captain Howdy, the demonic face that flashes subliminally in the film, appears several times, first as a projection, then as a series of live actors. Also on hand is the demonic statue of Pazuzu, who comes to life near the end. Overall, the maze captures the feel of The Exorcist while omitting most of its R-rated moments. It is not as shocking as the film, but it does engender the same lingering disquietude in the mind after the show is over. We also recommend The Walking Dead. Having been represented at Halloween Horror Nights for the past few years, the franchise now has a permanent year-round installation. We feared the concept had become a bit of a zombie itself, dead and soulless, but unwilling to go quietly to the grave. Fortunately, The Walking Dead is enjoyable from start to finish. Even the wait in line isn't bad, thanks to a wonderfully realized set that establishes the mood for what follows. Fans of the show, and fans of the previous Universal mazes, are going to have a great time with this one. And as happened with the old, now-defunct House of Horrors, the year-round Walking Dead is not exactly what you will experience if you go there the rest of the year. It's amped up with more actors, more scares, more of a nighttime scare show. Less impressive, though not without its virtues, is Krampus, the Christmas-themed maze designed to promote the home video release of the film of the same title. The maze features some beautiful snowy settings, a superbly well-realized monster, and several good moments. However, the sets feel underpopulated. Several rooms are empty, though filled with raucous sound effects presumably intended to underline some action taking place. Too bad. With a few more scares, this one could have been great. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Blood Brothers offers another bloody trip into the world of Leatherface, who appears in several guises, which should please fans who will recognize his changes in appearance throughout the sequels and remakes. But even if you're not a fan, this one is very impressive, if a bit reminiscent of previous chainsaw mazes at Universal. It's loaded with shocks, which is a good thing, because with the crowds and the timing, you're likely to miss several of the jump scares. Unfortunately, the much-anticipated Freddy vs. Jason turns out to be the biggest disappointment of this year's Halloween Horror Nights. The maze does not recreate the 2003 film. Instead, it uses the title as an excuse to haul old costumes and set pieces out of the mothballs from Universal's previous Freddy and Jason mazes. The result is a bit like a greatest hits compilation performed by 2 former headliners who have to team up now because they no longer draw the big crowds as solo performers. This year's Halloween Horror Nights has only a single theme for its scare zones, the Purge, which appears in various areas around the park. Fortunately, the Purge is perfectly suited for creating panic in the streets. It reappears on the lower lot where we encountered it last year, perfectly situated in what appears to be a city fallen into chaos. Even better is the Purge Gauntlet of Fear, a scare zone that functions more like an outdoor maze on the upper lot. A labyrinth of walls define a path and cut off any escape route, forcing victims to continue to the finish. In a way, Gauntlet of Fear is hardly more elaborate than something you might see at a fairgrounds Halloween extravaganza, but this simplicity has its virtues, creating a free-for-all atmosphere that gives the actors license to roam and attack at will, running and pursuing instead of keeping restricted to a tiny hiding space. As we headed home and the adrenaline rush of Halloween Horror Nights wore off, we realized that we had been mildly disappointed that the all-new attractions featured some familiar set pieces, such as the enlarged Freddy Krueger head swallowing a victim. There was also a tendency for the scares to be a bit repetitive, with the same character jumping out over and over again, be it Krampus, Captain Howdy, or Leatherface. At least the Freddy vs. Jason maze has two main characters. In a way, that's why we enjoyed the Purge Gauntlet of Fear so much. It was filled with a multitude of maniacs, so we never knew who would attack us next. However, Halloween Horror Nights delivers the exemplary production values that set it above the competition, and The Exorcist and The Walking Dead are enough to make the event worthwhile all by themselves. Just remember, get a fast pass if you want to see everything. Otherwise, resign yourself to experiencing only a fraction of what is available. Halloween Horror Nights continues at Universal Studios Hollywood on weekends in September, October, and the beginning of November. You can get more information at our website, HollywoodGothique.com, or visit HalloweenHorrorNights.com/Hollywood. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the dark.